It's been a busy period, obviously, I don't need to tell you that, particularly busy, but it would be really interesting to hear from you. I know Mubadala before and obviously previously to the merger has a history. It started off with the offset fund, it had a particular purpose, there was a strategic aspect to it, job creation, bringing in knowledge and innovation to the country, but it seems the company has evolved over time and perhaps it looks a lot more like today what people might consider a sort of straight up investment company, looking at returns, looking at opportunities, something Warren Buffett might be running potentially compared to what it was like 10 or more years ago. Is that an accurate description of where you're at?
It's a very accurate description. It's been a story of evolution for Mubadala, and today in this stage of this evolution, this next stage that we embarked on post-merger, this stage that started effectively May 1st, 2017, we are now a mature company, a company with a very healthy, diverse portfolio, with a very strong balance sheet, and a company that is ready really to embark on the next stage of its evolution and really looking at the future. We are now an investment company, a very solid investment company, and with a history and heritage. And I think that's really what I would say distinguishes the new Mubadala investment company of today, of 2017, that's looking at the future, versus the initial iteration of Mubadala Development Company, the initial iteration of IPIC, and now the journey that takes us to post-2017.
So the integration of two balance sheets, is it completely done?
Yes, so the integration is done, and today we will announce our results, our first half-year results as an integrated company. It's been a very smooth process, I must say. I'm very proud. I've been involved in many mergers throughout my career, but this merger particularly I'm especially proud of because it was very smooth. We had executives from both previous organizations work very hard and really in a teamwork environment to push this as smoothly as possible, and it's been smooth. Honestly, there's been some challenges here and there, but overall it was a very smooth process.
The rationale was cost savings. So what are the cost synergies that this?
The rationale wasn't really a cost savings. It was really about efficiency and looking in a more strategic way at the future. We had two companies that had a lot of synergies in terms of their portfolios that complement each other very well, and the government saw that it would be more effectively managed for the future, particularly with the intention of the government to really support this company in its growth and to continue to be a big part of the diversification strategy of Abu Dhabi. So that's really been the driver. Obviously there's efficiencies, obviously there's cost implications, but that wasn't really the main driver.
Could you give us a slight idea of how much annually are you saving and going forward?
Like I said, that's not really the main driver. Today, you look at the size of the operations at both IPIC and Mubadala. It's not, we're not a fat company. Either of us were, and the combined size in terms of personnel. I mean, the number of executives in IPIC is about, in size, just 30% approximately of the size of the personnel in Mubadala. So it was from that angle, again, more unifying the forces. In terms of the portfolios, again, these are not portfolios that had any intersections. The portfolio of IPIC was predominantly in the downstream sectors that Mubadala was not involved in or invested in. So the portfolios complement each other well, and I think today, if you look at the four platforms that have been created, we have two very solid platforms with solid foundations, with great assets in them. Our petroleum and petrochemical platform is strong, solid, diverse, upstream, midstream, downstream. It's global in nature, from Southeast Asia to North America, to Africa and Europe. So it's quite a diverse portfolio, both in terms of geography and in terms of assets. You look at then our infrastructure, alternative investments and infrastructure, again, very strong portfolio, very powerful. That portfolio also took in hand good assets from both previous companies, and we have now a foundation that is strong, among which is Mubadala Capital, which is an entity we're very proud of today, because we're doing something that not many sovereign funds, well, I think not any sovereign funds have done, which is actually seeking or receiving third-party capital to invest in our existing portfolios, but more importantly, to deploy capital for our fund to manage in terms of investments moving forward. This is, I'm referring to the partnership with Ardian, which is quite a symbolic and I think important step for Mubadala for the future. This is a $2.5 billion partnership or investment from Ardian. It involves investing in existing portfolios, really further confirming the quality of the investments we've made through Mubadala Capital when you are having such reputable institutions invest in that portfolio. And more importantly, also allocating capital for our team in Mubadala Capital to deploy alongside ourselves in future investments. So I think that's a very important step, and I think it shows you how Mubadala Investment is evolving into a much more mature investment company.
I mean, on that point, it's interesting because you talk about the bringing in outside money and investing third-party money. Also, there was the deal with Investcorp, which was quite significant in terms of positioning and moving forward. I would say that one of Mubadala's great strengths has been execution of deals. And now you're finding partners that are also enhancing and bringing in that track record in terms of managing those assets and positioning those assets for either exit down the line. I mean, has that been a lot of the driver behind partnering up with these new entities?
Absolutely. I think this has always been in the DNA of Mubadala, which is partnership. Partnership with world-class partners. Partners that we feel we or they add value to us and we add value to them, that we have a unified view when it comes to values, when it comes to growth, when it comes to an investment approach. And we've done that in almost every field we're involved in. Today we have over 13 sectors that we're invested in. We are involved in over 30 countries with significant portfolios in many of these countries. And to do that effectively, you need partners. And that's always been a key emphasis of our strategy. We continue, by the way, today to evolve as Mubadala. We enter into new sectors and we are deploying capital in a swift, effective way. I give an example of our investment with SoftBank, really looking at the future, looking at deployment into technology with best-in-kind partners. This is a very exciting field. This is a $15 billion, 55 billion dirham commitment into the SoftBank Vision Fund. We have been active since the last 6 months over this partnership. We've deployed significant capital already into very different companies around the world, from China to United States to Europe, and that gives us again insights into I think very attractive deal flow in a sector that is important for us as we look at the future diversification of Abu Dhabi and our portfolio within Mubadala Investment
Does that
company.
tie into the idea of the fourth industrial revolution? Recently there was discussion in Abu Dhabi about how the UAE in general embraces that.
Well, we need to. I think the UAE has to always look at the future. We cannot be programmed to looking at the past and looking at the present. We need to look at the future, and we need to always try to be ahead of the game. And it's not easy, it's very challenging. That's where you have to take sometimes risks. You need foresight, but you need a spirit of entrepreneurship to look at the future. And I think that's critical for the UAE. That is our advantage. Our advantage is to be able to be swift, to be quick, and to take some calculated risks in sectors that are for the future. That's what we have to do. We need to be ahead of the game. And we are trying to do that as Mubadala. But we do that by doing two things: by investing in the future with good partners, i.e. SoftBank as an example, but also by maintaining our strategy of developing the sectors that we've already invested in. So for example, in the case of Mubadala, petrochemicals. So again, one of the major investments we've done also in the last half of the year is an investment by Nova Chemical in a facility in Louisiana. This is a 7.7 billion dirham investment, very significant, one of the largest facilities in North America. But it also, I think, signals our intention also to keep growing our existing platforms, our portfolios, and in this case, Nova Chemical, supporting Nova Chemical and its growth strategy, which is a company that we own 100% and is a fantastic company. So we're doing both things. We are looking at the future and investing in new areas, but at the same time embracing and continuing to commit in existing platforms that are successful and very strong for us. And you can see in the numbers that we're going to disclose obviously today that strategy is continuing. We are continuing to invest in many areas. Another area that I'm very proud of is our investments in the Emirates Global Aluminum. This is another joint venture we have with the Dubai government for a company, an industrial company that is going through the entire value chain.
It looks like it's being prepped for an IPO, EGA.
So let me tell you what I can say right now. What I can say right now is that the company is growing its value chain proposition very well. Our aluminum smelters in both Tawila and Jebel Ali are performing extremely well, both in terms of cost and in terms of profitability. We're very proud of really that industrial, I would say, powerhouse that we've built in the UAE. Our investment in the alumina refinery is a significant investment here in the UAE that is about 70% now complete, so moving extremely well. And our upstream investment in the bauxite concession in Guinea, which is approximately a 1.2 billion investment that we are making as we speak in Guinea, is very crucial to that value chain. So we are going to be in the mining of the bauxite through our concession in Guinea, all the way down to the refining of that through our refinery in the UAE, down to the smelting in our facilities both in Tawila and Jebel Ali. So really EGA is growing extremely well and is going to be positioned, and is already now, I think, a world-class leader when it comes to the aluminum business.
It's interesting that you mentioned mining, because you're now a very significant player in mining natural resources, partly by design and then partly serendipitously, like in Brazil, for example, where you ended up with some assets. Has one of the biggest lessons been how well you can pivot from one circumstance to the next, depending on global events or macro events?
Absolutely. I think this is the marks of any successful investment company, is its ability to pivot. Because by nature, investments, you will have investments sometimes that don't go the way you anticipated them to go. Now, at that point, I think you have to be able to retain the ability to pivot, and I think we've done that successfully in many areas. But it's sometimes it's about pivoting. Other areas, sometimes it's about pivoting, but other times it's about restructuring, and it's about really just making that business work in a different way while sticking to its core. So I'll give examples of both that I think were successful. So I think Brazil is an example of a pivot, where we had a challenged situation with Ike Batista, an investment financial instrument that we had there, and I think that was going obviously not in the right direction or in the direction that we anticipated. There it was an absolute pivot, and I think a very successful pivot. And today we look at the assets that we have in Brazil and that we have in South America in general off that investment. And I would say we are delighted. We have some phenomenal assets, I think, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of mining, that I think long term will be extremely successful for Mubadala. Let me give you another example of a restructure that also led to a monetization, which is Tabrid. So Tabrid was I remember maybe 8-9 years ago, was a very challenged company. And we had to inject a significant amount of capital into Tabrid. We've had to support the restructuring of management. We have to really support the restructuring of the portfolio in Tabrid, and that's been done extremely successfully. And I'm very proud of the way I think our involvement to support this very important public company, technology leader in its space in the UAE. And today, Tabrid is doing extremely well. And that resulted in bringing in a world-class partner in Engie. Engie is a fantastic French infrastructure company that really, I think, sees the value of Tabrid. And that sale that we concluded early this year, I think, is another ratification of a strategy that was implemented, executed to bring back Tabreed into the front, and I think it is in the front right now. And this transaction really shows that. And I think us monetizing half our position in Tabreed to support its future by bringing Engie, a partner that I think will help the growth strategy of Tabreed, I think hits every checkbox really in our strategy. We bring in a great partner that's going to add value for growth. We monetize and achieve a great rate of return. We maintain our position in the company because we believe in it. So it really fits very well. AMD is another, I think, I would say, very positive journey for us that was challenged extremely at times. AMD, we went in obviously many years ago. The stock took some very difficult, went through some very difficult cycles over the years. We were patient. We continued to be a supportive shareholder. We were the largest shareholder in AMD for many years. We remain actually the single largest shareholder in AMD. And now AMD is doing extremely well. They have a fantastic management team. The stock price has rebounded, I think, very nicely over the last 18 months. And I think we took the opportunity again this year to monetize about 85 million shares of AMD, really at a healthy profit for Mubadala, while maintaining, I think right now, a 12.9% shareholding in AMD. So that's another example of how I think that strategy has been at work.
Are there more assets in your portfolio that are lined up for monetization or part exits?
I think you can see. So just see what I'm saying. We are deploying capital significantly and significant deals in new sectors, and we are monetizing when we think assets are ripe for monetization. So we are now truly acting in the way we look at in the future, which is an investment company that's driven by its shareholders' guidance of a diversification strategy to be supported, and at the same time returns, healthy returns, and then recycling that capital into new sectors or new areas that we can achieve hopefully better returns in. So I think this is what we're doing, and doing it very well. And I think our first year in operation as Mubadala investment company is going to be I think a milestone year for us and set the tone for the future. So I'm very proud of that.